You know, I'm beginning to think you like doing this.
You think completely wrong.
No, I mean,
If you
you were
thought
here
that, you'd
the
be wrong.
last two episodes. At the end, I said, "Are you coming back?" And you said, "No way."
Right.
And here you are again.
Yeah, I'm not. This is an optical illusion.
Really?
It's one of your masking tricks. Again.
Oh, my editing trick.
One of your editing, one of your wizardry, magical digital wizardry tricks.
No, I think you like me.
Well, I mean, more than
Here we go again.
More than like
Here we go again.
You know that.
He's touching me again, folks.
I just think that nobody wants to hear. Why on earth would anybody listen to Anthony Ruffalo and Keith Wilson?
Because we have a wealth of information.
Whatever. I'd rather listen to a much bigger name. Like, I'd rather listen to The Compound with Josh Brown. I'd rather listen to about 100 other people that manage billions of dollars with much more intelligent things to say.
Well, we got to start somewhere.
Do you want to start with how you keep your hair up?
It's a lot of product
do you use in your hair to give it? It has a lot of lift to it. So when you're here in the studio,
I got it coiffed. It's a little blow drying technique. It's a little pomade.
I know there's technique.
There's
technique. That's not happenstance.
No, it's technique.
That's 15, 20 minutes in the mirror.
Oh, at least. All right, these folks don't want to hear us ramble on about hair products and things like that. Look, you got two financial advisors in front of you.
Boring.
Between us, we have 100 years of experience. I've got 80, and you've got about 20.
Yeah.
Right?
Next year will be 20.
I thought it would be great to impart some wisdom of what we've learned over the years and just give you some tips right from the mouth of a financial advisor. Now, when I asked you to come on, I gave you the topic. I said, let's give some tips.
Mm-hmm.
And don't tell me what you're going to talk about. Don't tell me your tips. I won't tell you mine. And we're going to go back and forth.
You mean Treasury Inflation Protected Security?
Not tips. Not capital TIPS. Tips.
Let's keep it clean. Let's
lessons.
Keep it clean.
Oh boy, we could have gone down that route. But anyway, money tips for you from a financial advisor.
Right.
I have a few. You have a few. You start us out with just a tip or your first tip, and let's see what you got.
So I'm gonna give these are for, I would say, more for younger folks. I mean, they can be applied to older people, but
Sure.
Specifically, if I'm thinking of an audience, I'm thinking of younger people starting out because this is basic stuff. Number one is build up a cash cushion. Call it an emergency fund, call it a cash cushion, whatever it is. Build up at least 6 months worth of cash in a savings account, money market account, someplace liquid before you go all in and start maxing out on retirement.
Case in point, I was dealing with a young couple. Their 30s. They weren't maxing out their 401k, but everything was going into retirement. And when I met them, I said, we've got to have a cushion. We've got to have liquidity. And we just started within a week.
Where did you meet this? Was this a couple at one of those pineapple parties?
Oh my gosh.
Where did you meet this young couple, Keith?
No, seriously. So this couple, within a week after I met them, and maybe a week or two, their air conditioner went out. And so where are we going to get the money to pay for it?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the importance of that emergency fund. We see it all happen all the time. This kind of goes along with my first tip, which is automate. Automate your savings.
Oh, that was my next tip.
Good.
That was my next tip.
I knew we would have commonality.
Ah.
So we can both talk about that. Automate your savings and start early. So why is this so important? If you and look, a 401k, when you go to work, a lot of times nowadays it's forced
savings.
It's forced savings. You've got to opt out with all these, Secure Act rules and stuff like that.
1.0, 2.0.
Yeah. So with a 401k, that's automated. You're saying, hey, take 5% from my paycheck, put it in the 401k. That's an automation. But go beyond that. Go. Let's talk about the emergency fund. So starting out, you've heard about, pay yourself first.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. A lot of people I meet early on, we talk about what are you saving for your emergency fund or for a down payment. Oh, well, whatever's left over at the end of the month, we'll throw that at it.
Yeah.
You got to start it, restart, and say, I'm going to have it automatically deducted from
It's the
my
old
either my paycheck or the checking account to go right into savings, investing, or what have you. And once you do that, you're not going to miss it.
yeah, it's the old saying, pay yourself first.
It's exactly
And
that.
I call it, you said, I systematize your savings. So, and not only systematize your savings, but systematize your investments. So that's the second part of the process is because you don't want to think about it. Anything that you have to think about may or may not get done. I heard something the other day. It was, we don't rise to our motivation, we fall to our systems. So you've got a lot going on, and I forgot to make the transfer from the checking to the savings to the Fidelity account to or my brokerage, wherever it's going. You forget, it's life. We get busy. Automate it. So on the first of, if you get paid on the first of the month, you should have an automatic transfer set up on the second of the month, and it goes to this account, and then it automatically gets invested
And you
into
don't
XYZ fund, and then it's done.
In and out, you don't see it.
And
then
here's
you're
the
dealing with
the other important piece of that is it removes the emotion. When you have, and I do it, I struggle with it all the time. If I have cash sitting in an account somewhere, I can rationalize why I should invest it and why I should wait. It removes the emotion or even the just that couple of minutes of, you're like, is now a good time to invest? Oh, we just had an election. Trump just won the election. Republicans have full, and everybody, there's this euphoric thing where you're like, oh my God, the market just ran up, right? So you can play that both ways. You can say, well, it's an amazing time to invest. Or the contrarian will say, well, let's go opposite. If everybody thinks the market is going in one direction, maybe it's not going that direction anymore. And maybe let's sit on the sidelines, and then in a month I'll look up and invest those funds. No, remove the emotion, because here's what matters. In 20 years, it doesn't matter. My thoughts about investing today or a month from now are irrelevant in 20 years. Systematizing eliminates the thinking about or remembering to invest, and it also removes the emotion out of the entry point into the market.
And the other thing, when you're first starting out, if you start this automation, we can get into where, but not now. But it's just, it creates a habit. Maybe you start out at $50 a month, and it creates that habit. And as you see that potentially grow wherever, you're like, I want to do a little bit more. Maybe I can do $60 a month.
When you have a market,
it gets addictive. Saving does.
When you have a market tailwind, and you start seeing your account grow, and you're like, oh, here's a little bit of compounding interest. Hey, I put in 10,000 and I have 13. You're like, oh wow, that feels nice. And then you're like, it becomes, you gamify it.
Yeah.
It gets exciting.
That's, like I said, it's addictive, it's exciting. I wonder if I do a little bit more.
And I think I should be a race to, when you're starting out, this is one of my other tips.
All right, well,
it should be a race to 100,000 in non-retirement money.
Magic happens at 100,000.
Magic.
I did a video on this. I might post it up there if you're watching on YouTube. But that's when that compounding growth really takes over. I think I forgot the math that I did about how many years it takes to get to 100,000, investing X number of dollars at X interest rate.
That's right.
Once you
I
hit
remember
that,
you stole my YouTube video,
No, I
which
didn't
is
steal your
my
YouTube.
my 401k inflection point.
Well, do this for me while you got your
What?
HP12C. Do 500 a month. Reverse this. I want to know how long it takes to get to 100,000, investing 6,000 a month at 7% interest.
6,000 a year, you mean?
6,000 a year.
Okay, so you want $100,000 in your future value. You want to pay $6,000 annually. You have zero now. 7% interest. It is 12 years.
So it takes 12 years investing $6,000 a year at 7% interest to get to the 100,000. Now,
Correct.
how many years does it take to get to 200,000?
So, all right, $100,000 would be our present value with $6,000 in payments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want $200,000 in the future.
At 7% interest.
200. I got to make that negative. And then we want 7% interest, 7 years,
It took how many years to get to 100?
12.
So, and then it shortens every single time. That's the beauty of,
I hope that math is right.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's right. I'm
Double
pretty
check
sure
that
it's-
in post, please.
But anyway,
I think I believe that's accurate.
the lesson is work yourself to 100,000 as quickly as you can, because that's when the magic happens.
And I want you to, we'll double check these calculations in post. And then definitely, if these are right, that is some lightning fast HB12 work, folks.
All right, another one is don't time the market.
No.
Don't time the market. So what I'm saying is a lot of people will get nervous when things go down and they say, I think it's going to go down more, so I'm going to pull out and go to cash and I'm going to wait until it goes back up. I'm trying to figure out my entry points and my exit points.
Listen, it's kind of, that's, the second part of what I just said, systematize your your contributions and your investments.
But once you're invested, don't try to figure out when to get out, when to get in. Stay the course based on your risk tolerance levels and your time horizon. So if you have somebody that's 30 years old, they want to retire at 60, they have a 30-year time horizon, in my opinion, keep plunking dollars down. All the rest is noise, because we're going to have years where it's going to go down. But historically speaking, 85% of the time, the stock market is positive. And you just got to go through these down periods. By trying to time the market, you got to be right twice. 100% right. When to get in, when to get out. And studies have shown it's best to stay the course.
Don't time the market.
You might have to tweak it.
And then there's all sorts of pieces out there. If you miss like the 10 best trading days, you cut your historical return by half or something like that.
I read
whatever.
somewhere, I think it was a Fidelity report that said the average investor, their return is something like 2.8% a year on average.
Sure.
Whereas the market is whatever, depending 9-10%. And the reason the study was showing was the average investor makes their decisions on emotions.
Sure. Here's a great recent example. If you were sitting on the sidelines because you felt one way or the other about the election, and you weren't fully invested, and the day after the election, what was the S&P was up 5%, and the Russell and the small and mid cap indexes were up like 5 or 6% respectively. So let's just say you missed that one day, and at the end of the year, hypothetically, S&P's up 30, you got a 25% return. What's 5%? What percentage of the return of a 25% return? 5. So that's you gave up, I don't know, 20% of your overall return because you missed one day.
And you never know.
One day.
You never know when that one day.
You never know when that
market's going to
why.
fluctuate. That's
could it have gone the other way? Could it have been a down day and then you would have been excited? Sure.
But when would you have?
We have no idea.
In? So don't invest and make investment decisions based on your emotions.
So we've all heard Warren Buffett's rule. Rule number 1 is don't lose money. Rule number 2 is see rule number 1. Never stop compounding. Well, it's easier said than done because sometimes you don't get to make that choice. But as an individual, a hard lesson that I learned when I was younger, and I discounted it. not on the investment side, but on the income side. Consistent income is so important to building wealth, especially when you are young. When you have consistent, predictable income, it allows you to systematize your investments. It allows you to invest automatically and systematically and unemotionally. It allows you to stick to a budget because you don't have crazy erratic cash flows or gaps in employment. And it also allows you to, as long as you're sticking to your budget, you never have to dip into your savings. So for example, what happened to me was in 2008, I bought that big stupid condo. I also bought a big stupid car. I extended myself with payments. And I also decided in the midst of a financial crisis to change broker dealers. But consistent income is why I have teachers that have never made more than $80,000 in a 30-year career that have millions of dollars saved versus salespeople that make $300,000 a year that don't have two nickels to rub together. Consistent income allows you to have a budget that you stick to, and you're not robbing from Peter. You're not chasing lifestyle or hoping that this thing comes in, this commission comes in, that you're going to live off of.
With fluctuating incomes, like with sales and real estate people, commissions, set it at, this is my target income. If I make more, that's great, but I want to live on X number of dollars.
Yeah.
All right, I got another one. In my opinion, the most overlooked type of an account is the brokerage account, the taxable brokerage account. If you've watched my videos, if you listen to my podcast, you know I'm a big proponent of the 3-bucket system, tax deferred like your 401k, tax free like a Roth, and taxable like a brokerage account. So a brokerage account is just simply an investment account. It's non-retirement. Why is it important to have one? The flexibility, number one.
Like an Olympic gymnast.
Oh, yeah. Very flexible.
It's important.
They can just contort in any way they want to, right?
They can adapt to any situation without injury.
Oh, it's very flexible, meaning it's liquid. It's not like a retirement account where you got to follow all these rules of when you can take money out. It has no restrictions on it. No matter what your income, you can contribute. There is no restrictions about pulling it out or income limits. Anybody with any income can contribute.
And most important, you cut the government out of the partnership.
The tax situation. So
some of it, because you always have to pay taxes on anything. But
like a 401k or IRA, to your point,
you're governed
you've
by.
You've got an IOU on that account.
Well, you're governed by. So you've got DOL rules and vis-a-vis ERISA. So ERISA extends over to 401ks and some IRAs as well. And there are, which is good and bad. So there's credit protection that comes along with having those type retirement accounts, and there are benefits to that. However, whenever there are benefits, there are always cons, and there are restrictions, and there are golden handcuffs, so to speak. And I'm not saying one's better than the other. What I'm saying is exactly balance.
A balance of those three. It's really about taxes and flexibility, because taxes on I want to get into all of it, but taxes on a brokerage account, if you bought a security, stock, bond, whatever, mutual fund, it appreciates, you sell it, then you would pay a capital gains tax on the gain, which for most people is 15%. It's not taxed at ordinary income tax like a tax deferred account. So flexibility, liquidity. You never know what's going to come up in your life. Maybe you've earmarked this brokerage account in conjunction with your retirement accounts, all for retirement, to where you have the option at retirement which account to pull from first, which makes the most tax sense. But life happens. So instead of getting a 401k at 50 years old to pay for your daughter's wedding, you have that brokerage account to lean on, and you won't have to do a 401k loan or anything
Yeah,
like
in
that.
2024 you can go up to, so as long as your total taxable income is under 583,000, you're at a flat 15% in long-term capital gains. It is possible if you're
That you
married
get a 0%.
if you're married filing joint and you are under 94,000 total taxable income, you can pay 0 on long-term capital gains. If you are over 583, you can go up to 20%, and then there's also this other bonus called the net investment income tax at 3.8% if you're over two. It gets a little bit complicated, but you got choices. You got
You have
choices.
choices and options, and taxes are generally less on a capital gains versus ordinary income tax. And it gives you tax planning options. But to me, that's the most overlooked account. A lot of people are going to max out their 401k and go down that one road.
Mm-hmm.
So having a brokerage account gives you options. Again, we're not tax professionals. Seek your tax advisor about all the tax consequences, but have that option. What's next on your list?
Avoid complex investments, and also, once you get to your, let's say you get to your $100,000, I see this a lot with successful people. What else should I be doing? Well, what got you here?
Was
No,
it working
it
that got you there?
you don't need to be doing anything else. You just need to continue, rinse and repeat until your six-figure balance turns into a seven-figure balance. People feel the need to get more complex as their wealth grows, and it couldn't be further from the truth.
So keep it simple. What's working for you? No need to add
Yeah.
complex. Let me.
It's a good listen, I get it. It's a good question. People are asking because they want you to validate what they're doing is the right path, and they don't want to miss any opportunity. So as long as you have your buckets covered, and you're getting a little bit of an upfront tax deduction on some of your pre-tax stuff, you got some after-tax stuff and maybe some Roth stuff, and you've got a good balance and a good mix of tax diversified accounts. The investment component, keep it simple. You don't
Keep
need
it simple.
you don't need to do more fancy investing.
Let me end it with this last tip, which is invest with a purpose. Invest for a goal. So I have a lot of, especially the younger folks come in, and they might have like a Robinhood account or whatever type of account, and I said, "What's this for?" "Oh, I just throw some money at it." So I go through this exercise when people come to me and they say, "I want to invest." I'll say, "Why?" And they'll say, usually, "I want to make money." "Why?" And I'm trying to get them to think and funnel them to get to a target.
Well, if they have a Robinhood account, it's probably hard to get them to think.
Well, they say, "I want to make money." Well, that's great. Why do you want to make money? Well, because I want it to grow. Why do you want it to grow? Well, I might need it later. Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Let's go, Nietzsche.
Now we're getting somewhere. What might you need later? Well, I do want to buy a house in about 10 years. Okay, that's a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can invest accordingly. We have a purpose. Instead of going willy-nilly and buying all these tech stocks and the hot thing that's going, then we can get to that time horizon. When do you want to buy that house? When do you want the down payment? Oh, 7 years. Let's invest accordingly. Or someone might say, well, retirement. I want to retire early. Now we have a goal. So when you invest with a purpose instead of just playing around, then you can invest accordingly, because investing for a 7-year time horizon for a down payment on a house is going to be far different
Sure.
than investing for retirement that's going to happen 30 years. And it's nothing wrong with having multiple accounts. That's my house goal, and it's invested differently. This is my retirement goal. This is my college funding goal for the kids. So invest for a purpose according to your time horizon and age and whatever goal you have. Don't go at it, as I say, willy-nilly. All right, those are a few tips. Hope that helps you.
Probably not. I
I
don't think I didn't find anything about that entire conversation helpful.
Then why are you here?
That's a good question.
And you're going to come back next.
I can't. No, I'm not coming back.
Why?
I'm not doing this anymore.
Hey, if you like this video on YouTube, or if you're listening to us on the podcast, give us some feedback. Give us a like.
We don't
give us a
want feedback.
review. We do want feedback.
We don't want feedback. We don't want reviews.
Follow and
We
subscribe.
don't want follows. I don't want I don't care. Keith owns the channel, so I don't care if he monetizes it or not.
Folks, I'll guarantee he's going to be back for the next episode.
What are you willing to? What are we?
Oh, I
betting on
can't
it?
say the word guarantee.
Huh?
I'm a financial advisor. I can't say the word guarantee.
Well, if it's FDIC insured, FDIC insured that you'll be back.
Take care. We'll see you next time. If you like what you're seeing so far, check out this next video. Subscribe to the channel. Lord willing, we'll see you next time.